All right, boys and girls. Just when you thought it couldn't get any better, the Syperduty series has evolved again. Um, if you look back in our videos, you'll see the Dentron that we saved due to the lack of availability for its tubes. We turned that triode amp into a tetrode amp, and the gentleman that owns it was, I guess, impressed with the work, and he wants a radio just to drive that amp. However, he wants big swing, big audio. Now, we are calling these new ones Gen 3s. Actually, what they are is low power driver radios. Now, let me explain that. You guys are used to seeing amps that need 100 watts of drive. So that's where, in your mind, usually you need a driver radio, something that'll do 100 watts, swing real hard, get up there. You can do the same thing with a low drive amplifier, okay? The tubes that we put in this gentleman's Dentron is a pair of 4CX 408s. Okay, they will take 20 to 22 watts of RMS input, AM, and close to 30 on sideband, and they'll take it. So normally, our first generation Syperduties were the Italian MOSFET boards. Then we got into making our own. The first one was a 2290, which PEP'd in this radio well over 100 watts. We started having trouble with those, putting them on some of the hotter radios. So now we're into our third generation because we also have a 2-pill in between that and this. And that is the highest we're going to go. We have three options, actually: single pill, 2-pill, and then we can combine the two. And those are your options. This one it has been tuned especially to drive the amp that I just built for him. Okay? This is our new board. Uses a 2879. We are using a single relay on these. And it's mounted right in the top of the 2000 on the heatsink on the side. It's not touching nothing. We did the seconds conversion on his counter. And we did a 4-pin plug for him. We got rid of the 5-pin. And he had a wire nut. I think it's right here. This was his power switch button. We had to replace the whole switch because he glued it in there. So now, not only do we have the seconds on the counter and all that good stuff, he's got a nice normal power switch. Now everything comes up. Now, we did not mess with the channels or the clarifier on this radio because they work perfectly. If we go flip switches, go down, the first bank of buffers, big bank of buffers, and it's real simple. Lowers, first bank of buffers, so second bank of buffers. That's it. So you got to watch your counter. It'll tell you what's going on. This counter did not need much work. However, it did need a couple caps that were dried out. Now, the other thing we did for him is a 10-turn. This is not a clarifier. This is his carrier control. Okay? With the counting knob, the whole 9 yards. And there's the reason I did that is I want him to be able to go as low as he can and not have this control ever move. If you guys have ever had a variable carrier put in one of your radios and you utilize an old control from something, and you notice that in that one turn, you may not get poopy until you get to like 3 o'clock, and then it just climbs like a banshee. Well, first of all, they're not matching the value, right? That's what's causing that. Second, a single swipe potentiometer just cannot match the high resolution control you get out of a 10-turn. Now, if you don't know what one of these is, let me explain it to you. Take the squelch. From here to here is 1 turn. Okay? To achieve this distance that this does in 1 turn, you have to turn this one 10 times. In other words, 1 full turn on this one only equals 1 click on this one. So you've got a lot more control. Now, not only that, once you're done, you lock it. Now you're set. Now, we can make this transistor do a lot more power. Yes, this is a 60-watt RMS transistor from my understanding. And I got a Toshiba in here, which is probably a little even better. But we've dumbed it down. And I dumbed it down for a reason. This radio is going to be used on the Dentron. And he'll use it to drive other radios. Now, get back to the driver radio theory. All a driver radio is something that can key as low as it possibly can to achieve your clamping or your relays and whatnot, and swing as hard as you can. Now, it doesn't matter if you're doing it from a 10 watt dead key to 100 or a 50 to 150 for a triode. You can get the same effect out of low drive amps. The street sweepers or the sweet tubes, that's what we call them, street sweepers, or we use 250Ks, which is the same as a 250B. We built this other one with 400As. The way this radio is set up, the amp is on all the time. This is a low input amp driver radio now. It's not just a radio with a modulator in it. This is purpose built for his Dentron. Okay? We tried to think of everything that could make it comfortable for him. And there really wasn't a lot to it because that Dentron we built came out sweet as hell. So, Mr. Hogg up in Chicago, he gave me permission to go ahead and give him a shout out on this video. So let's take a look around here. Once again, here's our new Syperduty module. Now you'll notice there ain't no little bitty tiny chintzy wannabe little 50 volt parts on this board. We use all 100 to 500 volt components. Well, why? Well, why? Because anybody who's ever had a transistor amp and had one smoke, they not only paid to get this transistor changed, but that bias resistor, both of these tuning caps, the couplers over here. When mine blow, if you blow them, and I'll tell you right now, the only ones that have blown, the customers owned up to it and told me what they did wrong. So we fixed them for free. However, the mistakes that were being made were easy to make, so we had to beef up the board a little bit. And plus, like I said, the 2290 wasn't handling the dual final 10-meter radios as well. This thing takes them. So we've got this one dumbed down, especially for his Dentron. Now, we got the bench redone. We got us a B&K test center now. Got us some new goodies to play with. And no freaking room to hook any of it up. There's our Hyperjet 142. Belongs to 019 out there. Harvey, very nice radio. He'll be getting his back tonight. We'll be bringing Mr. Hogg's back to our third-party driver. But here, let's look at the power on this thing now. First thing we're going to do is we're going to shut our peak off. In the middle is a 100-watt scale. This is a pre-scaler and a peak kit that was calibrated and installed by Coaxial Dynamics. This is not an aftermarket piece of junk. This you can swear by. So let's start off with real power, RMS. Everything off, 100-watt scale. Okay. Here we go. Right now, I'm going to have to use our lock on this mic. There we go. Oh, my mic's not. Oh, that was the other thing. Here. Now, we've turned the radio on. But you notice there's no mic plugged into it. What we did was, let's go to the bottom. We got rid of his 4-pin or his 5-pin. We put the 4-pin in with an ice cube relay. And now the relay controls the switching of the radio. And he has receive when he has not got a mic plugged in. There's the back of our 10-turn mounted in there. And you'll notice everything is tied down. Nice and neat. This one wasn't bad to begin with, but it needed some more attention. When you do this much work to a radio, guys, this thing's got variable power, channels, 10-turn counter, the board, all this stuff. You got to tie all this shit down. You got to make it look nice. Okay, just because it works, don't mean it's done. Okay, and I get a lot of radios in here just sloppily thrown together, and it's starting to get real tedious, guys. Be neat. If you're going to work on this stuff, have some pride in what you do, please. So let's get back to this radio. So now you got a nice, clean power knob that works properly. 4-pin plug. So we're going to grab our obtuse little microphone here that's got a 4-pin on it. Plug it in. All right, so we're going to turn the mic gain down. We're on the, like I said, 100-watt scale, RMS. The board is engaged all the time. Now, something else you'll notice, there is no transistor for keying on this. The third-generation modules are all being keyed directly off the mic jack with a little small switching circuit that we put back there so that it doesn't interfere with the rest of the radio. And the reason we did that is after, I've been working on Saturn turbos and 2990s for years. And I always liked the fact that on sideband, you didn't have to worry about a chatter because they made it like a regular ham radio. When you key the radio, it manually keys the amplifier. That's what we did with this one. Since we changed him to a 4-pin plug, and we needed that relay to give him his receive all the time, even without a mic, we just used the other side of that relay to engage our Syperduty module. So the module's on all the time. This isn't a high-low radio. This is a driver radio, period. This is made to put on an amp that wants 2 to 6 watts of dead key and all the swing you can give it. But there's another thing. Most of those amps, like I say, real power, they don't want no more than 20 or 25 watts of RMS swing. Now, the PEP swing, it's no never mind. And this is the best way I found to explain that to you guys. You can take a 200 watt carrier, that's your real power. You got 200 watts, or when you you don't have your peak kit on, you get 200 watts. Okay, turn your peak kit on. I can make that same 200 watts peak 250, 300, 500, but when you turn it back to the RMS switch, it's always going to be 200. All the peak reading scale it is not an accurate measurement of your power. It is a measurement of the intensity of your real power, or how loud is your 200 watts. Is your 200 swinging, whatever. This one, we've dumbed it down. This transistor in another radio is doing 140 watts of PEP, right around 60 of RMS, which is about right. We've dumbed this one down to run the Dentron. Now, first, let's check out his carrier control. This thing's cool as hell. Like I say, it's a 10 turn. So you do kind of got to get to learn how to use it, make love to it. And you hear my fan on the power supply kicking in down there. Now, we're going to unlock this, and we'll just watch this meter for now. As you turn it, everything gets bigger. You turn it the other way, everything goes down. Now this board is on. We're on the RMS scale. I'm going to take it to a 2 watt dead key. Okay? Let's unlock it. We're going to go 12 o'clock on the mic game. We're at a 2 watt RMS dead key. And now here's the cool thing about this. Say you don't trust your watt meter or whatever. I can lock this here right now, and all he's got to remember is 4 and 3 ticks past 20 is exactly where he wants to be. These knobs are not just for show, guys. You can utilize these things in many, 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 many ways. We use them for clarifiers. We use them for mic gains. We use them for modulation limiter controls that we put on the front panel for some of the drag racers. There are a lot of uses for these. These numbers aren't just for show. They work. Okay, so now we've got our 2 watt dead key. I'm going to turn mic gain up here. Now this is RMS swing. This is not peak. This is real power. Audio. About 23 watts of RMS swing. Okay? But now we're going to go to the peak scale. Turn our peak reading kit on. Just short of 80. Okay? That is perfect to drive the amp we built for him. Like I say, this one is purpose-built to run its mate. This guy was smart enough to say, I want this to run that. Cool. That's what you're supposed to do. Okay? Now these 2 units are made. Now you go back in the YouTube videos or you go to the website, you'll see the Dentron. When we got it, it had no tubes, missing parts. It was a mess. And we changed it to automatic key, tetrodes, and it still was a one piece, and the meters worked, and everything worked when we were done. I believe it dead keyed around 150 and was swinging on PEP about 2200, which I thought was pretty impressive. So this is its boss. This is its lover. Our Gen 3 Syperduty Driver series. This is a Driver series radio. Now this radio in and of itself, just talking on it the way it is, it's not going to be bad at all. But it's not going to shine until it drives something. That's what this radio is really intended to do. It wants to be on like that Dentron, a Mako 750, Firebird 500, something like that. Any tetrode low drive, any low drive amplifier. As long as you keep the carrier down. Now, you want to talk about keeping the carrier down? Let's lock this mic again. Turn the mic gain down. Turn the peak off. Lock the mic up. The mic is on. Now, there's our 2 watt dead key again, right? Unlock the control. Wow, that was hard to unlock. There we go. And we're going to turn it down even more. There's almost 0. There's 1 watt. Audio. Still swinging 22 RMS from 1 watt. Now, let's look at that in PEP. From 1 watt. Audio. That's what I call some swing, folks. How often do you see an envelope grow like that? That's awesome. This is a very nice radio. We're kind of proud of this one. So, Mr. Hogg, I gave you some love, buddy. We did not mess with the clarifier because it works perfectly. Whoever did it. Right now, you got to remember, every one of these radios, and especially the older they get, for the first 20 minutes around, the best thing you can do is when you got a radio that you can set the counter like you can on this one, adjust it both ways, transmit and receive. The best thing you do is leave this damn thing on for a half an hour. Then set your clarifier to 50. At that point, all your crystals are going to be up to temperature. Everything's going to be pretty well stabilized. Whatever ambient temperature in the radio is going to be what it's going to be. That's when you set your clarifier. Now, you shut it off for the night. And then this one, you get to look at them cool ass seconds over there. When you wake up the next morning and turn it back on, it's going to be 2-3 digits off because it's cold. Don't touch the clarifier. Just let it warm back up and it will land on 50. That's any of these. The old Royces, these 2000s. Hell, a new Mike Henwood when it was running. They drift just a hair when they're cold. That's these crystal oscillated radios. They have inherent traits. That's one of them. They got to be up to temperature. And I'm so used to having these on the clarifier, I'm going to grab my carrier to align my. Now you see I'm bringing it up there. So now I just see a jump bag, or we might have to clean this control too. It's like we haven't given these controls a good swabbing yet either. I think that's what we're going to do. That'll be the next thing we do. And then we're going to build this Super Day. We do have a speaker. Now, nothing's changed on the speakers. It's still the same 30 amp power supply we put in before. On the back of the radio, the DC plug, which is there from the factory for back in the 70s, when you wanted to put this thing on the seat of your Vega, go driving around, it was on and popping. Okay? You don't do that with these radios. You shouldn't have done it then. You definitely don't do it now. But the plug's still there, so we utilize it. We bypass the radio from that plug. Now, you guys have seen this part of the video a million times. We bypass that part of the radio from this plug. Then this plug runs only this module. Now, it is a self-protected power supply. Say for some reason, transistor shorts out, the amp goes bad, whatever. That power supply is just going to shut itself off, period. There's no, it might blow the fuse in line with the cord. But the power supply is going to shut off. The radio is still going to run at normal power, which on this one is a little bit down because we've dumbed it down to make the amplifier the mate for the Dentron. So that's the way, we set this up. We did it intentionally. Some guys won't agree with that, but yeah, I got to clean this damn control. Some guys don't agree with that, but here, he doesn't need everything this transistor will do. Okay? He can sit and talk with this thing the way it is, just like this. Swing that 22 of RMS, 80 of PEP. That's a nice, loud 22 watts. Okay? That's a loud 22 watts of RMS. Now, we're going to take that and dump it into a pair of ceramic tubes. Katie barred the door because we ain't coming home this way. That amplifier and this radio are going to have a very nice love affair. I know it because I built them both. So here you go. This is the very first one that we're turning out with a from scratch built 2879 transistor. And ironically, the first one we built, from scratch, we've had to dumb down. We were taking our old 2290 boards and trying to reconfigure them. Didn't work out. We just went to build the new ones again. So that's it. That's where we're at. This is purpose-built to run an MLA 2500 that's been converted from 8875s to 4CX 400As. I can't think of a better mate. And we did find him a nice chromey knob. I told him we were going to put a Cobra knob back on it, but then I found this in my stock, so I hope he doesn't mind. We put this nice stainless one on here, which matches the rest of the radio, I think, quite well. We worry about aesthetics here. We don't just drill a hole in your stuff. When I saw this freaking wire nut he had in here for his power cap, I was laughing. We had a good laugh about it on the phone this morning. But no, this radio is now done. The very first of the Generation 3 Super Duty family. Hogg, congratulations. Once again, welcome to the 409 family of radios. And I hope you enjoy using it as much as I enjoyed building it. Because, buddy, I had a ball on this and the Dentron. So go knock their wigs off. Everybody else, 7-3, stay safe. Watch for the rest of the videos coming up. And if you haven't seen the Dentron video, go to YouTube and watch the last one. You'll see this is the MLA 2500 retube. Watch that video. That is the amp that this radio has been reconfigured for. It's going to be a match made in 409 heaven. I promise you. 7-3s, everybody. We'll see you.